Welcome to the Mismatched Play, everybody. We got a sweet episode tonight. We're going to talk about a little hindsight with the Arks of Omen, and as usual, I'm joined by Austin Wingfield. And today we have a very special guest in the form of Kinder's airbrush compressor that we can hear in the background.
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world,
This is Mismatched Play.
All right. Austin, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Max. How about yourself?
I was doing much better 20 minutes ago before we did it again. We had the best 20 minutes of episode content ever before recording. All because you started with, before we start, and then you entered into the best conversation ever.
Turns out I get deep diving into Warhammer stuff, and there's
Did
some good
Kinder
content.
wait for us to start to get up and just walk? Was it like, is he trying to get us like 5 minutes of fame?
Kinder's part of the show.
Okay, yeah. I'm just gonna go on a limb and say he's doing it on purpose. That's perfect. All right.
There he is. Oh, we're just going off on a tangent. No, I'm happy to be here. Nice to see you. But I can talk about Warhammer for days. So when I tell Max, hey, we're not, before we start, he thought it wasn't Warhammer related, and it was.
I don't know. I said maybe you're gonna tell me some super, like, you got like a super secret thing, like they sent you the 10th edition book or something, like don't record. I've had this in both our guest episode. We had like I said too much, Max, take a time out and then cut this. At both episodes I pulled something. I'm actively not trying to do it, and then both times, boom, the worst sentence comes out, and I'm like, excuse me, did you just say live on the big screen?
That's right.
You can cut
GW would
this,
never
right?
send me a 10th edition codex because I would show the world it accidentally. I wouldn't send it to people, but I would just talk about it and read it, and it would just sit out here in the tower, and people would read it when they come by. So.
Yeah, that's the problem. You have like such a big communal space in the form of
Yeah.
your living room, then like nothing is really secret.
Yeah. Whatever's here is here.
It's like the guys that have the hut over there. I think that's McNally's place, right? The hut. You have the tower and they have the hut.
We're the tower here, and they have the hut. Very downtown. That's like the city vibes down there. Yeah.
Oh, I got. You're more of a cabin type of thing, is that?
Yeah, I'm like the tower in the woods type guy out in the wilderness. You got to come fight the tower boss, they say.
And then, just out of curiosity, how many like tables do you fit? You have one. Can you fit more, or do you usually have more set up?
Yeah, so I have two easily popped up, and a third could go on my dining room table, all in the same space there, and then I could have a fourth. I have room for a fourth one here in this office, and they're all within shouting distance of each other. So we throw little shindigs, and some good practice goes on here in the tower.
Yeah, but that's what I was curious about, because I mean this is a great like space, and like because I know a couple of the guys in the. Bruno, one of the guys on Team Canada, he has that. Like his basement is like I think 6 tables. Like I'm pretty sure he built his new house, and he was like, "Honey, I love you, but this basement, 'tis my basement." And
I need a dojo.
yeah, the
the
dojo is. I don't know if that's the name, but I'm gonna shoot it to him after the show, and it's gonna be the name.
I'm pretty good at naming things, and that sounds to me like Warhammer Dojo.
Are you more team Cobra Kai or team Daniel San, whatever? Miyagi-Do?
Cobra Kai, like, let's all be real. Let's get this out of the way. Original Karate Kid, Daniel was an asshole. He was actually the bad guy. And the Cobra Kai people were actually the good guys. So if you go back and look at it in that perspective, like, the Daniel kid's picking all the fights and it's being a little childish. So anyway, definitely Cobra Kai. All day.
I'll very Barney Stinson of you. All right. Let's get back to Warhammer. No, but today you said something very interesting before the other interesting thing that we can never recreate, so we're not even going to attempt. You said, I've tweaked all of my lists for the Arks of Omen. And I thought that was great because, everybody's seen all the Arks of Omen things, like all of the cool kids, they get the book beforehand, and then when the pre-orders are out, we get their take, and then every other channel has like the tier list of Arks of Omen or whatever. But we're more laid back. I mean, look at Austin. Like, he has sleeves on his t-shirt, but that's let's not make that
Don't
a habit.
I'll take these off right now.
So yeah, we're more a little bit laid back, but now we also have a little bit more insight. So I'm really interested in having Austin break down a little bit what he likes and does not like about Arks of Omen. Now that first of all he's read the book and that we've seen a little bit more of it, because the main thing, I think you'll agree with this, is that the Arks of Omen was like really a slow release because a lot of the people, like there was 1,000 people at Vegas and they were playing Nephilim back then. So a lot of people kind of did not get the full experience. Like we recorded 2 bonus episodes. Oh, I have to talk about that. Remind me later. Like our 2 guests, they were like also new to Arks of Omen because they were both at LVO and they all still had their Nephilim things. Like one of them played Blood Angels, one of them played Harlequins. Those things have changed.
Drastically.
Yeah, drastically. So if that's cool with you, Austin, I'd like to, maybe go not chapter by chapter, but break down what's changed in the book.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, I sat down and was able to tweak all of the lists that I play to fit into this new detachment. So the detachment, what I like about it, I think there's the opportunity for more flavor, right? And if you look at my list, you're like, you see the strength in some of the stuff, but there's some weird shit going on, and that's flavorful. There's some cool things you can do with the armies I like to play, and Arks of Omen really leans into it, right, and allows you to not take some of the mandatory units that maybe I was forced to take before, right? So being able to unlock 6 of a unique slot in one detachment, that's something I was already doing, but I was like taking a patrol to get 2 more slots.
You had to pay for it, right?
Yeah, we had to pay CP for it, right? And my tax, so I still had to take like another troop, right? Or maybe I had to spend 3 CP and just get like a Vanguard or a Spearhead.
An extra HQ. A lot of armies don't want to run that many HQs. HQs are not that great of a mechanic, and like you don't need 6 fucking heroes in there.
Right, and that's a great point. So maybe you only need the 1. So this gives you some flexibility to put the flavor into your list. So for me, like getting more CP just means that I spent all of it on more stuff pre-game in Arks.
You don't start with CPs.
No, I'm still down to not start with CP, but for me, I'm looking at my list and they feel more flavorful again, where we lost some of that flavor in the last in Nephilim just due to the fact we started paying for our Warlord trait and our free relic, and those extra detachments I still needed to take the army I wanted to field left us shy of maybe some extra relics we like, or maybe shy of the Warlord traits or unit upgrades, things like that. So I definitely feel in Arks of Omen we get that back. We still have to pay the Warlord trait tax and the relic tax, but saving that CP from the detachment being, bountiful, I'm able to get most of the cool stuff back into the list, which I'm really excited about.
100. And now, just a quick question: do you think that this detachment favors the super competitive people because it allows I'll use you for this example, to spam all the crazy things that he likes, unchecked and unbound, like I can play all of the heavy supports if I want to, or the more casual person that I just get to play whatever the fuck I want today and not get penalized because I want to try wacky stuff? Which one do you think has like the more fun out of this?
I think more fun will come out of the casual gamer, to be honest, because you get to say what cool models do I want to play with, and you start and they just fit into the detachment, and then you're going to go from there. The competitive side of me and the competitive players, that we're going to adapt to whatever rule set comes out, and we will try to break it, right?
Yes.
Like you're going to see people try to abuse it, but this does allow the casual gamer to have more assets and have more tools to play with the models that they want to play with. You're not forced to take the troop tax or take the HQs that you didn't need. Like now you can just kind of run what you want to run, and I think that's a pretty cool thing.
I'm so glad. Yeah, I could not agree more. I just thought it was weird because a lot of the casual gamers did not see, like, they was like, oh man, all these power players are gonna be on check. I mean, yeah, but they were already beating you. You know, I lost like 19 times to Austin already. I mean, now I just get to enjoy what I play, and I'm still gonna lose. You know, but at least now I get to do whatever I want. And you know, but one thing that you did not really talk about, and or maybe you did, and I drifted away with the attention span of a squirrel that I have. Um, the cool thing, well, the really cool thing is the now you can ally stuff in without breaking all of your armies, which for me was a big, like, I'm not the biggest fan of like soup in like these armies that would bring like 6 or 7 factions together, but not being able to mix at all for some armies, I thought it was like really not great. Like Dead Guard not being able to take Nurgle demons, I thought it wasn't fun. Or Chaos Knight being stuck into Chaos Knight stuff. It felt a little bit lackluster. And now you get to. Would you say like willy nilly, or is it balanced? What do you think of the? You can bring one
There,
friend to the party.
there are pros and cons to it, obviously. So it's not all positive, or we would see a bunch. There is talk of like maybe it still breaks detachment rules, and I don't buy into that. I think it's pretty explicit. You're allowed to take allies and not mess up with your primary army. So if you agree that you can take the allies without messing your super faction bonus, right? For Marines example, there is some flavor there. They didn't go. It's not as crazy as we thought, right? Because they did. It's very brief and restricted rule set for allies. So the Battle Brothers section in Arks of Omen lists out specifically what you're allowed to take. So it's not like Tau is allying Necrons, or nothing crazy happened.
Oh, you
But
don't
your
miss the days of Tau and Eldar being best friends?
Taldar didn't come back. Like there was some concerns there for a minute when we heard those rumors.
But counterpoint. How about Votan being best buds with everybody in the Imperium? Like big high fives, small guys, big high fives.
Votan being big high five, I think Votan's power comes from their mono abilities to me. So they are sweet, but the fact that Votan's point hikes have went so high, if you're paying the point tax but you're not getting the cool rules for being pure Votan, I don't know if we'll see them as much. But at that point, the guy taking the Votan patrol, maybe he's just being fluffy, or maybe that's a casual player just wanting to play with his toys. I could be proven wrong.
I'll show you the one. There's one really cool list, but again, it was a list that did not really use any of the faction bonuses. Again, it's gonna be linked in the article. No spoiler. Just go onto the website, click on the article. You're gonna see that there's one list. Austin, I'll show you after the show. I'm not gonna say it's great, but it's pretty great.
It's pretty sweet. I love lists though. I think the biggest winner is Chaos Knights for me. Imperial Knights in general, but just taking 3 War Dogs or 3 Armigers in an Imperium detachment was very. It was almost on the. It's always been good, but no one wanted to spend the CP to do it, or no one wanted to, invest in it and break stuff. So now we've got
no
the
CP and not breaking anything.
Not breaking it. Like they fixed that rule. Now we don't have to spend any assets. So you're like just can take 3 shooty knights in like a Chaos Space Marine army and improve upon them drastically. Give them some speed, some obsec, some guns. That's powerful. Same thing on the Imperium side. If you're building a combat Marine army, maybe you take some like knights to go with it. Like it's. I think there's power there that wasn't there previously because of the Arks of Omen detachment.
I mean, we've seen it before. Like there was a Grey Knights with Elverins that was making the rounds before. I think it's still being played because now we just get a bonus. Well, no, you don't get penalties, so you get to still use your Master of the Warp. I think it is a Grey Knight lose or whatever. You still get to use your cool Grey Knight stuff. But there was this one list, but it was very, very limited, for sure. So for you, like demons for free, not breaking anything. Well, demons are already with the new book. They were already pretty free, right?
They had a rule built in, but but you still have to pay for the patrol. So you're just saving CP now because it's going to be a free detachment. Demons allied with World Eaters is going to be seen. I promise that. Like Korn has got some cool stuff.
Do you like
World
the
Eaters.
Army of Renown, the 8-bound thing?
Kinder was telling me about it. Yes, I like it a lot. I haven't read anything. I'll have the book with me very soon, and then we'll probably do nothing but read it and make lists. So
Yeah, you're
excited.
buying deep into World Eaters. Right?
Yeah, the tower will have an army
Okay.
for sure. Like I'm pretty excited about World Eaters. Talking about Arks of Omen in Soup, you may see the brothers all in the same army again. That's happening. You're going to see Magnus, Mortarion, and Angron as the compulsory Heretic Astartes Lords of War with Abaddon as their Lord and Commander. It's going to be fantastic. I don't know if it'll win any games, but we're gonna play it nonetheless. It'll win games. Max, I'll show you that list after the show.
Okay. I can't. I can already imagine. Considering I know like about 1,800 points of it already.
Lot going on.
Can I use my 30 cultists in this list?
No.
That's dead to me. We tried, Austin. We tried. All right. So I think that covers pretty much army building. But another thing, maybe still CP linked or based with that. How big of a deal is free reserves? Back to the old days of like everything in reserves for free, if you want to.
Absolutely massive. It's huge. So even for me, I'll just give you my Eldar has to deep strike the Crimson Hunter. Perfect. I had to pay for it before or redeploy it before anyway, so not a huge deal. It's free. Put it in reserve. Got it. My Necrons coming out of a monolith. Literally, I was spending 3 CP minimum to do my tricks free. Huge deal. Marines have so many free crap. I have too many units on the. I need to outflank some stuff.
Yeah, Marines start with too much stuff because I mean, what you're gonna do with all those points? Everything's free. Yeah.
Free, just outflank them. It's actually a huge deal for a lot of armies, and it provides that tactical flexibility that makes the game fun for me in like a competitive sense, where I can do a lot of stuff with all that extra CP, including the reserves. Strategic reserves is powerful.
And is reserves itself? Well, obviously it's better because it's free. But is Deep Strike more valued now, or is it the same? Like, do you think deep striking units or unit that could deep strike lose a little bit of their flavor, I guess, because everybody else does it for free, but they come on the side of the board? Or how do you see that interaction?
I think deep striking is always going to be more valuable than outflanking because of the limit of restrictions. Like showing up 9 away is easy to do. The restrictions on showing up in someone's deployment zone are still there. The restriction on the table edge and what turn you can come in, like all of that makes deep striking still more valuable. Obviously, that didn't change. Reserves got closer to as cool as deep strike just because more units can strategic.
Yes. Yeah, no, Deep Strike did not change. I was just wondering, now that the other stuff is free, did the reserves maybe catch up or something? Would be my take.
I would say not quite, but it definitely shrunk the gap.
And counterpoint to that are like reserves blocker more valuable. Not really screening, but maybe units that don't allow you to come close. The land speeder storm infiltrators, the new guards that can just like shout at you, go away. Oh, 12 inches, boop. That's a fun one. I like that one.
Here.
Go back home.
I think it's very important. We'll see how the meta shakes out, but those units were good anyway.
Yes.
As a toolbox thing.
But do you need more, or do you think they become like essential to lists?
Honestly, at this point, maybe we're still in that like honeymoon phase of I haven't really seen what happens yet. I have tried them, but like sometimes you play an army that you don't need them, right? So it really does depend on your local meta and what you face more often than not. I think old school screening stuff still works, right? So you just need that. Probably is where I lean on it. Like I think especially playing a game where the stakes matter, that I'm going to take care of business and not let you show up where I don't want you to show up, the old-fashioned way, versus using some of those cool tools to get it done.
So you're not allocating extra points for that. You're just gonna keep doing what you were doing before, and just there's more of you that I'm gonna screen out, but I'm still gonna screen you out.
Correct.
All right, that kind of checks out. And then I guess the next thing, missions did not really change, right? Except a couple of like primary like bonus points or whatever you want to call them. I think a couple got changed slightly. And
Yeah,
that's about it.
couple tweaks for like the primary bonus stuff, but nothing drastic. The missions, honestly, to me, are I think, fantastic.
I
Um,
like them too.
yeah, so I'm glad they haven't shuffled them completely around. Like they're very good missions. I think the secondaries being shuffled is the biggest part of Arks of Omen. Like
Yes.
the reason to buy the book would be to have access and learn all the secondary changes for all the factions.
I mean, yes, lots of change. So which one do you want to start with first? Like faction changes or core secondaries?
I
Because
could go
I know you'll
faction.
go on all day about one or both.
Yeah, faction secondaries. Obviously, I'm more focused on myself, and then the meta armies. Like I play Necrons. Like they changed, right? So I needed to know how Vermin changed, right? So it doesn't score turn one, which is a huge deal, but it's still really good.
do you?
Got nerfed a
I
little bit.
don't think it's really. Do you know why? There's a word that they left out in Purge of Vermin. It does not say holy. A unit that is in the dead center of the board, it blocks all of your points except your deployment zone. It is
Yeah,
nasty.
yeah. I don't read.
Yeah, but that one nobody notices that one. And then somebody came in the store and we are talking about that, and he's like, "Oh, I don't like it that one because you can be in the middle of the board and block 4 quarters." And I'm like, "Excuse me." Um,
That would need an FAQ. They've gotten away from that completely from
I,
everything. But if that's the
I like
case,
that you're pulling the book as we speak.
no, I would now
I
I need
saw
to
you
know.
sneak away the book.
Yeah, it's literally sitting in front of me. I'm like, I'm gonna read
But
that right now.
I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait for you to tell the people that I was right.
Or your friend was right. I was like,
Hey,
that's
by extent, I get some of the glow. Okay, I bring this
Max
up
is
to
like,
you.
I take full responsibility for what is to come. Purge the vermin. At the end of your turn, 1 point for each table quarter that has no enemy units within it. One if there's no enemy deployment zone. Yeah, that there is nothing. So yeah, I guess you could just stand in the middle and hilarious. Yeah, it doesn't say 6 inches from the middle. It doesn't say anything.
Yeah, it
Don't
says
take
you have
that.
to work hard for your to
No,
purge the
it
vermin, my
actually, you
guy.
might have deleted it, right? Like if that's where I'm at too. It's like you actually can't take that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So why write it in the book, right?
But no, but I think one of the things about these faction secondaries is they are all very toned down. Like they removed a bunch of them. For example, Necrons no longer have the code of combat. That was huge. That was like played big time. Like people took models
That's
to play that objective.
a huge reason to take the king, and then his supported overlord, right? It was literally so you could pick that secondary if you didn't have options. If you're fighting MSU stuff, um, that's a big one. Marines still have amazing secondaries and probably
Oh,
got gland
Marines just
up,
got a
but
good buff.
they did lose like every faction lost some of their secondaries.
Yeah,
So
and
like
usually a good one too. Especially
yeah,
like
some
the
of the
Blood Angels losing
spaces.
Forlong Fury or something like Fury of the First or something.
Yeah, the
The
one that
Dead
they
Company
always took,
one.
the Death Coming one is a very good one. We liked. Losing that hurts a flavor of an army, but still run the army. You actually can run it better in the detachment, but like the secondaries don't play maybe quite the way that the Blood Angels player like. But you could still do. There's still good secondaries for Marines, so I will
Oh, yeah.
we'll take that with a grain of salt. Stop complaining.
Oh
Go
yeah,
score.
I'm
Go
not.
score your
I'm
point.
not saying it's bad or
Not you,
anything.
but
It just I
the
one of
Marine
our
players
bonus
out there.
episodes is about our buddy Sam, my buddy Sam, and you'd love him too. Who's like the Blood Angel magician? That guy, he plays Blood Angel like nobody business, and
Love you.
so we talked all about it. Big losers. Obviously, Necron's losing a big one big one and then one like only Necron's only nerfs. Marines
Sure.
big winner overall because Codex Warfare is nasty.
Yeah, the Codex Warfare is maybe the most abusive one. Just fact that you can literally build the Devastator Doctrine army with the Arks of Omen detachment,
Well, I
and
think that's the problem. Is maybe if they didn't buff the fact that the Devastator units be so good, maybe Codex Warfare wouldn't make sense. But now you get all the free guns, and then you get rewarded for having all the free guns. So that's kind of a big double whammy situation.
yeah, that's going to be the sore thumb. We'll say that for the first part of this season here is dealing with those style Marine lists. I have my Black Templars. I'm in love with. Max is tired of playing against them. Uh,
I love playing against them.
They are, but different style, right? Like I'm just doing old school, cool Marine shit. The shooting Devastator Codex Warfare secondary, lists that are going to come out of this are nasty.
It's 50. It
And
does everything you want. It gives you 15 points. You are rewarded for using all of your cool guns, and your opponent loses models with which he wants to score points. This like
yeah,
the triple threat. It does everything that you
very
want.
very good. So I like looking at those lists, and I'm excited to get into tournaments and see them, so I can figure out how to tear them apart. Um, and and kill those armies. You start teching into those builds, right? Like if it's a vehicle heavy build, like so the game isn't over. We don't just throw in the towel, but it's going to be rough for a minute, and we're going to figure out what we need to do to handle that.
Agreed. I mean, that's the thing. This is what like Brad Chester always says is like you don't need to chase the meta, but you need to be aware of the meta. And I think now you need to understand that like Marines will show up and they will show up big time. They
Big
hear
time. They're going to do the thing.
the thing. Um, and then the generic secondaries, a lot of changes, a lot of I think they took away a bunch of them right this time around
Well, we could go through it if you want. I don't know
for
any
sure.
specifically. I know Banner stayed, which is big. I know R&D, obviously the
Well,
name
it's now
always
battlefield objective. I think they were tired of changing the little letters on
perfect.
them. That's 50% of my tinfoil theory is that they named Nephilim because they printed cards that said RND on it, and so Nephilim had to be the same as Nakmund. And
Yep. Here
that
we
was
are.
my
Now we're in Arks of Omen, and they're like, just change it, damn it.
yeah. No, so now it's just gonna be called battlefield objective, and then every battlefield's a battlefield, so we good.
So
So I
they
like
did
that.
they did tweak some ones like assassinate and like that, where if your troop units are doing the killing, you can potentially get some extra CP,
This is
which
really
is
interesting because it balances out the detachment thing where you no longer really need troops because you can spam all that crazy stuff. But if you take troops, you are rewarded, and that's interesting. I think.
it is. I think it probably isn't a big enough reward because it's just a caveat on a secondary that you're going to see people taking the troops. The armies that take troops to play the game are going to be rewarded even more
I think
now.
that's more the case. Is like if your army is a troop-based army, you get rewarded, and but it's not powerful enough that you go out of your way to field like all troops because you want them like CPs or something. Maybe, but if you have a problem with CPs with your army, you play troops, and maybe it swings the debate versus some odd units of they're very like Grey Knights is a good example where Purgation Squad and a Strike Squad and a Pure Fire Squad are all a little bit the same. Some have more guns, the other have a different spell. I'll take the troops if they net me a couple of points, and then again. I don't think it's a big game changer, but it's a nice little bonus for all of the people that like troops actually that want to play troops or your army is enabled by troops. It's
I
it's
love that. No, I think it's a good and it's flavorful. Anything that makes the list and want to reward you for trying to take a balanced army. The closer you get to that, I think is probably a good game system.
I agreed. One cool change they made to engage on all fronts. I don't know if you picked up that one. The six
Yeah,
inches margin is if you control three, but if you want to control all four quarters, it drops down to 3 inches from board edges.
yeah, we use that big for like orcs. Love that, like because on go turns or they have some fast units where they can just go and change 3 inches outside makes it much more manageable for.
Especially like on turn one, like getting those points on, like getting 6 away from the borders on turn one was like really hard on a lot of missions, or like crossing the middle of the board, even in the corners one. Oof, that was rough. Now it's much more achievable if you want to push for 4 quarters and then get one of them completely obliterated anyway, because that's usually what happens. Yeah, I've seen that before.
It may have happened once or twice.
And then, can we talk about how they massacred my favorite objective, my favorite secondary objective? It was a year of me scoring so many points off of this objective, and me refusing to play the game in a normal way. And now it is gone. It will never be played again.
You got to see him.
You know which one I'm talking about too, eh?
Is it mental interrogate? Or
Yes, you got it. Oh, I know you got it.
See him. That's a huge. That reverts back to what it was before. The problem is it's still on paper very good, but in a competitive player is going to hide their characters from you, right? If you pick it now, it's almost an auto lose condition because
I don't 3 points or 6 points. Yeah, I loved it so much. Like they could have just removed the dumb thing of like you gain a CP. Like we didn't need to gain CPs. Okay, it was good before. It pains me. But then I think Warp Ritual now becomes really interesting because it was a really good one. Like Warp Ritual was good. It's still, I think, the exact same. But nobody played it because mental interrogation or psychic interrogation was so good. So I like that now. Maybe we're gonna see Warp Ritual. You like the Warp Ritual?
Well, it's always paired with like Oath when I'm playing my Templars. Don't tell them I cast Psychic Power. They actually kill the Psyker every time he does it. But
you played 3 Psykers. It's just
Oath, literally every turn, it's just a new dude, and they cut his head off. But Oath is reverted back to scoring the 2 points for the center. You're going to see a lot of Marines. You're going to be standing in the middle. Obviously, Chaos Ritual's a big thing. Like take the middle with whatever big bricks they got, and you only have to cast the spell 3 times with anyone. It's always been super popular, super powerful. I mean, it's definitely going to take. You're going to see it a lot because Interrogate's gone, right?
I agree, and also like because taking the middle is still a big part of the game. So like you want to be standing somewhere there at some point, and if you have an army that bubbles or that bunches up and want to sit somewhere, the middle is a good place to sit down and do all of your stuff. So
very neat. So that's a big one for sure that I think we're going to see all over the place.
I agree. Did you notice any other not really main one, but you said a change to assassinate? Is it just a troop thing, or did they
the extra CP, not bring it down? There's another one that got it as well. That was a killing objective where if troops kill stuff, you get more CP. So good changes there. Other than that, like they did take, like we said, Necron's down a peg. Some of the other faction secondaries changed even for the better. Like Orcs, how did the good bits get better? But it did. Like,
it's so odd. Orcs are going to be something good. Orcs are going to be nasty.
Orcs are in a good spot.
I mean, they were in a good spot, and people were kind of not really digging their whole vibe. But now, oh my god, orcs are something else.
Absolutely. Shout out to Sean for doing Sean things at Vegas with Orcs. But yeah, Arks of Omen Orcs will be very strong.
Orks of Omen. Oh my god, this is
the Orks of Omen.
This is the worst. But definitely. And out of do you like when the army specific secondaries are really good, or do you prefer the generic ones to be good? Because some of them are going to be always better, or maybe. Do you like to have like your army doing their own thing, or do you like every army to do more of the generic ones?
I love that they limited the basic ones. They've like deleted a bunch, and we're taking more faction secondaries. I'm all about flavor. I want my list to be fun. I want my list to feel like whatever faction I'm playing, and I want the secondaries, and that's like the game plan that you're playing that army to feel like the army. So I'm all about. I think they should go in. It does take more work to balance because there's so many and you have to balance for factions, but that's a huge thing for me. I think having faction secondaries be popular is good, and they're getting better at making them more balanced. I think
I mean,
it's still some.
it's funny because the obvious example to that is, well, I wanted my Space Marines to have a flavor, and that flavor is called Devastator Doctrine, and then they gave me a cool objective that's super thematic, Austin. It's called Codex Warfare, and I am gonna warfare my Codex all over you.
So that's a good extreme where like that's obviously horrible. Like
Also, the
they
Necrons one is like the least Necron things to do. You zoom up, do an objective, and die there. What? What?
so if you actually read them, like they're awakening a tomb world. Like it's freaking awesome, fantastic. Role play it with me. I'll talk in a Necron creepy robot voice, and I'm literally like raising monoliths on your planet because 90 million years ago this was our planet.
Your scarabs go there and die. They're not reactivating Mullet. They just die in a very specific pattern, and then some Necron god laughs on top of the planet. I killed
But
more
it is
robots.
cool, like when that army feels different from another army, right? If you're playing Necrons and everyone's raising banners and doing, trying to kill each other, it's very, Warhammer Fantasy to what 15 years ago to me, where a little more diversity is good for a game system. Is it perfect? No,
No.
Codex Warfare is terrible.
No, obviously, but then again, it's just because I wanted to be. If you went the other direction, I would have just said, yeah, but think about Sisters and us, because Sisters have the most awesome. Awesome. Oh, big change. Leap of Fate, completely different.
I mean,
It's not one of your armies, so I don't think you read it, but Leap of Fate, completely different.
I have read Sisters, so them having to use their miracle dice, the way that they change it to is a huge deal. So they're not. I don't know if they're going to do it. Like those miracle dice are needed to be Sisters.
But a lot of them were not. That's kind of. I don't think it's like an auto 12 anymore. Like, cause that back before it was like I've played Sisters is the army I played against the most in the last year because my best buddy he plays Sisters, and I played him like at least once a week for the past year. So I played a lot into Sisters. Okay, they have no secrets to me anymore.
I know it all.
No secrets. And like over a year, I think like maybe 4 games I didn't get like 12 points, and maybe of those 4 games, 2 of them were like 11s or something, just because like he miscounted at some point. Or
No, for sure. So before they were being rewarded for doing miracles, right, and different turns and stuff,
Yep.
which sometimes it felt like a tax because like you're just advancing and using a dice or something. And like, okay, now having to like burn a 6 for points and like actually
But
not.
no, but for a 6 you get a lot more points. But twos and threes are not that great. You get 1 for morale. 2, 3s, and 4s. 4s a lot of times is like, meh.
So you're leaving it up to the dice gods at that point. Like, so it's still doable. It's definitely less likely to be as good. So huge change for sure.
But they are very thematic. Like the other is like defend the shrine or whatever, and then it's just amazing. Sacred grounds, and it's a very thematic one. I would just. I was waiting to see which side you leaned on, whether I used a good example or a bad example of.
So I'll just run through Marines. I play Marines. I take Oath. Shock Tactics is great. You're right. I take Necrons. All of them are still
How do
good.
you like Shock? I'm surprised you like Shock Tactics of all people, because Shock Tactic does not reward aggressive play. Because if you start the game with more objective than your opponent, you're never Shock Tacticsing because you're winning the whole game. So you get 85 points, and then you probably win with your 85 points because you maxed every. Well, you get 82 points because you lose the 3 on Warp Ritual as well. But
it is not the one that it's not the auto take, but the fact that you're scoring 4 for taking objectives does mean like, all right, the 3 turns I think I can do it. Like I'm scoring a 12 now, so you don't gravitate towards it, but I do enjoy. If I take the middle and I'm scoring 12s the whole game, then I should put a building, or I need a game plan or a list design to be able to take one of your objectives that's not your home base, but not really take it. Like take a little bit and then let you take it back.
But it becomes a math game of like, well, I'm going to score 12 on primaries, so you're never going to score 12 on primaries. So That's 4 points a turn for 4 turns. So I guess I get 16 extra points because I'm always sticking on my 3. And then you have to kind of do the math of like, okay, but how much is he outscoring me elsewhere? And then it's a very interesting. There's a lot more like subtlety to it than just
Yeah,
I
it's
have
not
to take you off of your base.
yeah, it's not an easier secondary where you just do your thing and
Yeah.
not and forget about it.
I like that it's 4 points because it's impossible to do it 5 like you're never going to do it 5 turns in a row to score your 15. Like it's that game
that would
does
be.
not
I mean,
happen.
you could, but like,
No,
are you?
I like again on paper it says I could do it every turn and score 20, but like that game is never happening because if you play first, you're never gonna get it on turn 1 or almost never taking
No,
back an
I
objective.
agree.
So
Um,
it's a weird
but
one.
they do have good, and I'm not even mentioning Codex Warfare, but Marines have good secondaries. Necrons tweaked, still great secondaries. My Chaos Knights literally got all their secondaries got better. I'm like, why? Okay, they're amazing. Um, I think I played a Arks game with my Eldar, and they they got hit kind of hard, but the list change still pretty sweet. We'll dive into that one day. But
Eldar have to build into it, I think. And then Grey Knight's also really good. Just to pan off on the faction that I know you're not that into. Grey Knight's really good. Got a good buff into teleport strike. 5 points. You only need to do it 3 turns, which was the main problem of that one before. Like doing it on like 5 turns was insane. 3 turns is exactly the number of turns that you need reserves, so that's kind of good. That's all I'm gonna say.
pretty good there, Max.
And then Custodes still garbage. Votan Votan's okay. They're not great. Custodes a really tough time. Dead Guard, very interesting ones. Because the spoil ground is like very interesting. It's kind of an easy 9 most games. So you get a 9, and if you finish the game, usually you can swing for a 15. It's really hard to finish the game and not get a 15, unless you're getting pants real good.
Pants.
Hey, all I'm saying is Dead Guard get pants.
Yes.
What do you think about Demons? Did you read Demons at all?
I do. Demons are good. I like Reality Rebels still.
Yeah, I think that's the obvious one. Are the others?
The other ones are like don't think I would ever take them personally. Could you take them? That would be fun too if you were forced to take your faction secondaries. But I'm not.
Then yes and no. I mean, like
No,
if you
they'd
play
have to
Custodians
change
and you have to pick yours, you're a sad panda.
Don't get me wrong. Not in the current state of the game,
Yeah.
but just in general, if they make the secondaries better all around and that's your army takes them, that would be cool. But Reality Rebels very strong. Demons Warp Ritual fan really well. Have lots of good ways to do that, and then they hunt shit. I think is what most demon players are going to do is a combination of engage or reality, some sort of psychic warp ritual, and then hunt.
Kill something specific to your opponent. Yeah.
I think demons are going to still be in a pretty good spot, even though you probably won't see flamers anytime soon.
I mean, I still think they're decent. You're not going to see like 18 of them everywhere, but like they're still in there. What are did you Thousand Sun? Do you think Thousand Sun? Overall question: do you think Thousand Suns got left with their dick in the wind?
Dick in the wind? No, I think T Suns are still very strong because
really interesting. Oh, interesting take.
They're still tough. I mean, obviously, Armor of Contempt going away, they were able to abuse that.
And Flamers, that army became good because Flamers and Armor of Contempt.
So I still think the Thousand Suns players at heart are good, but you're not going to see as many Thousand Suns players to Max's point. So in theory, they're going to get worse because less people are playing them. But still good secondaries, still good units, still good allies. You can still run knights with them. I think a good combo is taking some shooting knights with Thousand Suns. I think demons still have some play, and a Zinch patrol is still pretty strong. It just doesn't have to be focused solely on flamer spam.
I think that's an overall good Arks of Omen review. Now, first, first thing, we had three things. First of all, bonus episodes. So I've started gathering people that either asked me to be on the show or that I've asked because I wanted to talk to them, like I do with Austin. So I've started getting couple of podcast episodes. They're only podcasts for now, so only audio. I don't know how to let them out into the world. One idea that I thought and that I would like people's feedback on, Austin, yours as well, because I haven't talked to you about this, is maybe starting a Patreon and making like very cheap, like $2 a month or something, like the price of a Miller Lite, or something. You know, like the Miller Lite. Yeah, the Miller Lite tier would be like, you know, a beer. It gets Austin a Miller Lite. You know. And then you get these bonus episodes for I don't know how long they are, or just put them out into the world willy-nilly. I don't know. So let us know if you'd like something like that. I have no idea if that's something you would enjoy getting, like early access or something, or like the full episode. That's also something I thought, like maybe unedited episodes, because we edit slightly or something, or we talk 20 minutes before, 20 minutes after.
Get some good content in the unedited.
The best content is what doesn't make it into the show for some odd reason. So I like everybody's opinion on that. So just like reach out if you get this. But very cool thing. So if you're not like a Chaos Knights like enthusiast, you know, you've had a good show. Thank you for listening. But if you are really deep into the Chaos Knight, let me tell you, we guys have got our first listener question or listener comment about something we said on the last podcast where Austin was explaining his Chaos Knight list, and somebody reached out, and I have to pull my phone because it's too deep. Like he was like telling me this stuff, and I was like, sure, I'll bring it up.
Here we are.
So Austin and I will read you this, and then you guys will see how I get treated whenever I bring something up to Austin. You will shut that down real quick, because how dare you question Austin, the list master Wingfield, right here. Hold on, what am I doing? Okay. Viewer, there will remain nameless because I still think you're gonna say mean things to this person, this poor person that only wants us to improve. He says you should switch your 2 traits in your big knights in the list, or let's not. No, I'm gonna start again. Not you should. Why aren't you switching your 2 traits, Knight Diabolus and Infernal Quest, from one knight to another? So the Abominant right now has Knight Diabolus, and maybe you should have Infernal Quest, and then the Desecrator has Infernal Quest. Maybe you should have Aura of Terror. Now, so what's up with that?
Let me tell you why Austin does what he does, and then we'll just leave it at that. So Aura of Terror is the obviously debuffs. You have to roll extra dice for leadership and dread tests. So starting on turn 2, you're more likely, the later the game goes, you're almost certain to fail your charges when the Abominant is nearby. He's very hard to kill. So he's typically still there, hopefully, in a good situation. But he gives you that. The other guy maybe doesn't have that. He is objective secured is what Infernal Quest gives him. So if you're charging him and you get to him, he's still 10 obsec bodies. So if you made the charge against him, you didn't take his objective.
Okay, but now, I've read the thing now, and I've translated into my mind. The point is, the Desecrator kills everything he touches, so he does not need to be objective secure, because nothing objective secure will live right next to where he's living.
And my experience is he does not kill everything.
Okay. Most things?
He's actually the flanker. The way I run him is he's like the left objective, like my far objective. He'll go touch it, so you can't steal it, and he's toe into it, so he could go to the middle later very soon if he needs to. And he is like a Storm of Darkness model for me, where maybe I won't move him next turn because he's going to storm this objective. You cannot kill him. He's a big, tough son of a bitch. So I'm going to get my points. Him being obsec means I can score my primary and you're not coming after him. And the Knight Diabolus, the extra attack and the rerolls is what makes the Abominant actually good in combat. Like, without the extra attack and without rerolls, he flops. He really doesn't have.
That's why nobody likes the Abominant usually, but because now you pay extra to make him something.
I make him, if he doesn't have that,
I got you.
he will. I almost flops all the time. When you give him the extra attack with rerolls, now it incentivizes you to use the strat for +1 to hit when he charges. Now he's literally a G. Like the dude is killing like armies, and people are like, "How do you make him work?" And I'm like, "It's very specifically look at how he's constructed." And
Yeah, so you have to invest all of this stuff because otherwise the Abominant. So the Diabolus would still be good with all of that stuff. Is the problem is like your Abominant would lose too much.
I agree. Like I need the Abominant
I
to have
understand.
the on better offensive output because he's at 400 and some 60 points or something crazy. So I need him to kill stuff, and that specifically Knight Diabolus is mandatory for him to be an offensive threat on the battlefield. The swapping OBSEC for Ore of Terra, there's a debate that could be swapped relatively easily. The way that I run that Desecrator is more of the backfield. He gives rerolls to all the shooting knights. So giving rerolls to the shooting knights is something that's important a lot of the times. Being OBSEC late game, like, is pretty sweet when he just walks up on an objective, and he's a Storm of Darkness guy. So I find that I get the most out of the knights being set up that way.
All right. I mean that clears it at least for me because at least now I understand the both of you guys' point because I couldn't even argue. I was just like, yeah, I'll bring it up to the main man because okay, like it sounds correct, but I like the way that you explain it because it's a fair point that nobody ever likes the Abominant except Austin Wingfield, and now
Except me. Now you know why.
exactly now maybe a lot more people are going to be like Abominant. Card carrying Abominant fan club members,
I will have the banner made and we can carry it together. Hey, I will bring up, you brought up a good point when they're saying how killy the Desecrator is, and then I'll be off of Knights. The Desecrator has the giant chainsword, so I do like to use the strat to get the extra sweep attack, so that dude can get up to 20 attacks anyway, but there's a caveat, he can't reroll if he does
because
that
of the strat or because of the sweep. The
so
strat makes
he
it.
would lose out on that part of the ability. So I think there's more benefit to making the Abominant the problem. He's the problem. He literally is like the linchpin of the army.
Would you go as far as calling him? I don't know which one of the Paul brothers is called the problem child, but would you go that way, or is that too much for you? Can I call him the problem child and make I think it's Jake Paul. I would make a Jake Paul joke at your night every game. Can we make that a thing?
But I run Herpetrax. I like standing up when I die. You can call him the Gypsy King. How about that?
No, that's not good enough for me.
It's too cool.
It's Jake Paul or nothing, buddy. I'm sorry.
I'm not calling him Jake Paul.
All right, everybody, I think we've had a great show. Again, wherever you get this from, whether it's a podcast or a webcast, please leave us a positive review or a thumbs up. It helps us a lot. And if you have any comments on whatever we say or questions, don't hesitate. Austin's pretty well behaved when I put him up to it. And I think that's gonna be it for this week. Not sure what we're talking about next week, but we'll figure it out. Austin, any last words to take us out?
God, I love talking, Max. Next time when we talk for 20 minutes about Warhammer, we'll try to hit play so you guys can hear some even extra content. Max, always fun, dude, and look forward for next week.